You're listening to a Brooklyn Nets episode of the Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the team's latest goings-on as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
Hello, Nets fans! Welcome to another Brooklyn Nets episode of the Jacob Valk Show. I am the Jacob Valk, except no imitation. For the first time since December 18th, the Brooklyn Nets played a basketball game. They were the 8 o'clock game on Christmas Day on ABC and ESPN. I don't want to say that the entire sports world was watching, because there was an NFL game also, Colts-Cardinals, but a sizable percentage of the sports world was watching. Even though neither team was at 100%, obviously the Nets didn't have Kevin Durant, they didn't have Kyrie Irving, they didn't have LaMarcus Aldridge, they didn't have Cam Thomas, and they didn't have Joe Harris. And the Lakers didn't have Anthony Davis, they haven't had Kendrick Nunn all year. They didn't have Rajon Rondo, they didn't have Avery Bradley. It was still a must-watch game. You have two marquee teams going at it. The Nets are the best team in the Eastern Conference. The Lakers are the second most successful franchise in NBA history. You've got LeBron James and Russell Westbrook going up against James Harden, three of the best players in the NBA. It was an easy game to get into. Now, through 3 quarters, it looked like the Nets would win this game easily. I mean, they were up by 23 at one point. They were up by 20 at the start of the 4th quarter. It looked like this would be an easy win for the Nets. Then the Lakers came storming back. At one point, they were on like a 15-0 run. It's like you're simcasting a game on 2K. Your team is down. So you decide to jump in at the start of the 4th quarter and help your team out. I mean, if you were half paying attention to the game, you look up, you see the Nets are up by 20. It's like, okay, let me go back to what I was doing, but I'll keep this on for noise. Then you look up again and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. This is now an 11-point game? This is now an 8-point game? This is now a 6-point game? What's going on here? The Nets were in real danger of choking this game away, and it would have been an epic choke job. I mean, I don't want to say that this was a must-win game, but if you're up by 20, if you're up by 23 at one point in the 4th quarter, you can't lose that game. Especially if it's a nationally televised game on Christmas Day. I don't care If Kevin Durant isn't playing, I don't care if Kyrie Irving isn't playing, I don't care if LaMarcus Aldridge isn't playing, I don't care if Joe Harris isn't playing. That's a game that you need to close out. But the Lakers woke up. LeBron came alive. He had 13 points in the fourth quarter. Malik Monk had 10. Stanley Johnson was making James Harden's life very difficult. Who on earth saw that coming? Who on earth thought that Stanley Johnson, in his first game in the NBA this year, would actually make a noticeable impact? Give him credit. You know, it's kind of funny. We're making fun of these teams for putting out these ham and eggers, putting out these guys who you don't think are NBA players. In the NBA, it's very easy for a player to come out of nowhere if he's given sufficient playing time to have a noticeable impact. Like, if you're only getting in garbage time, there's not much you're going to do. But if you're going to play 20 minutes, yeah, that's your moment to make an impact. And Stanley Johnson did. Give him full credit. I'll fast forward a little bit. The Lakers actually tied the game up at one point. With 45 seconds left, the game was tied at 1:15. I am furious at this point. I just saw my team blow a 23-point fourth quarter lead. I said to my mom, "Mom, can you hand me that stress ball over there?" She gave me a stress ball. Actually, it was a stress hockey puck. But it served the purpose. The Nets call a timeout. They get to advance the ball. James Harden gets it, and he throws a lob to Nick Claxton. Now, about 4 minutes earlier, the Nets had tried that same play, but LeBron got in the way. So Harden threw the ball up higher. Nick Claxton caught it. LeBron went up. And Nick Claxton put LeBron James on a poster. If you are a LeBron James hater, you are going to play that clip on repeat for time immemorial. I mean, the Nets have had moments in the past where they've stuffed LeBron at the rim. Mason Plumlee and Jared Allen did that once upon a time. They've never really dunked on LeBron like that. For Claxton to pull that off and get the and one, I mean, that is insane. You will never see a more vicious posterization than that. I mean, think about it. Here's a guy in Nick Claxton who's only played 12 games this year. The average NBA fan probably doesn't know who he is. He's putting up just 7 points per game this year. And he's trying to dunk on LeBron James, whose resume speaks for itself. You're watching it unfold and you just know that you saw an iconic moment. I mean, that really is an iconic moment. If the Nets win the NBA title this year, or even make the NBA Finals, and they put out a DVD commemorating their season, that clip is on the highlight reel. It was absolutely incredible. It put the Nets up 3. The game wasn't over, though. with about 30 seconds left, Russell Westbrook had a chance to make it a 1-point game. He got the loose ball, drove in on Nick Claxton, and went up for the dunk. He tried to avenge his teammate. James Johnson came over with some help defense. I mean, it's clear that Claxton and Johnson affected the shot, but that's a basket that Westbrook needs to make. I mean, he's 1 foot from the freaking basket. This guy's one of the best players in NBA history, Mr. Triple-Double, first ballot Hall of Famer. Come on. You've got to score there. Instead, you whiff. And if you see that you have 2 tall guys converging on you in Claxton and Johnson, they both have the height advantage on you if you're Westbrook, kick it out to the wide open LeBron James. Seriously, this guy was left wide open in the corner. That's a shot that LeBron can make with his eyes closed. Instead, LeBron is left just holding his hands up, trying to signal to Westbrook to get him the ball, and then his arms are held up in sheer exasperation. The Lakers played the foul game. It didn't work. The Nets escaped with a 122-115 win. It was not a convincing win. It's a win that should have been decided a lot earlier. It's a win that should have been by double digits. I mean, yes, I understand that if Durant plays or if Kyrie plays, the Nets win that game easily. But that skeleton crew that the Nets had out there, with Langston Galloway playing 14 minutes, they really should have won by more than 7. They had a 23-point fourth quarter lead, and they blew it. They squandered the lead. The game was tied with 45 seconds left to go in the game. Now, granted, once the Lakers tied it up, that was it. The Nets outscored the Lakers 7-0 after that, but this is what the Nets have done all year. They've won games unconvincingly. I mean, you're left saying to yourself that if Durant was there, or if Kyrie was there, or if Harris was there, or if Aldridge was there, the result would have been different. You're right that it would have been different. But the point is, the 10-man rotation that Steve Nash put out there should have won that game by a lot more than they did. At the end of the day, James Harden shouldn't have had to play 39 minutes. I understand that in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter. A win is a win. And Harden was absolutely fantastic on Saturday. The guy had a 36-point triple-double. I mean, you knew he'd need to step up if the Nets were going to win that game. He did. He was excellent. As was Patty Mills. Who saw that coming? Who saw Mills dropping 34 points? Without him, the Nets lose on Saturday. It's just that simple. Let me tell you, with Kyrie Irving coming back, you know that Mills' minutes are going to be cut. I don't want them cut too much. This guy's been really good. I don't want to say that he's going to need to duplicate what he did tonight against the Clippers, but he is going to need to have another really good scoring game. Even though the Clippers are without Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and Reggie Jackson, you still can't take them lightly. When you take a team lightly, that's when upsets are bound to happen. And at the end of the day, guys like Luke Kennard, Terrence Mann, Eric Bledsoe, and Ivica Zubac are solid players. Not great, but solid. Do I think the Nets are going to lose this game? Absolutely not. But I don't love the fact that the Nets are entering this game shorthanded. At the end of the day, Harden's going to need to go off again. Mills is going to need to do his thing. Bruce Brown is going to need to do his thing. DeAndre Bembry has been coming alive as of recently. He's actually shooting really well. 58% from the field and 48% from beyond the arc. Like, I'm not upset with him shooting more. And I don't want to say that Claxton's going to need to duplicate what he did. Who's he going to posterize? Zubac? Serge Ibaka? Not as impressive as posterizing LeBron. The Nets are in great shape. They seem to be on the right side of their COVID outbreak. After this, the Nets' next game is on Thursday at the Barclays Center. They'll be hosting the 76ers. The Nets won't be at full strength. Obviously no Kyrie. And obviously no Joe Harris. But Kevin Durant should be back. And LaMarcus Aldridge should be back. Like I said, the Nets seem to be on the right side of this. It should give you a ton of confidence going forward. This team is capable of doing very special things this year. Especially when Kyrie Irving is integrated back into the fold. Even on a part-time basis. Which I think is stupid, but I don't think the part-time thing is going to be for the rest of the season. I've said this before, I do think Eric Adams, the incoming New York City mayor, will change something at some point to allow Kyrie to play. I have no inside source on that, it's just my opinion. And also, let me just say this, Russell Westbrook doesn't care about winning, he only cares about his own stats. No team with Russell Westbrook on it will ever win anything. Case in point, this Lakers team with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Carmelo Anthony, that's now 2 games under 500, and if the season ended today, would have to win a play-in game against the Mavericks to be the 7th seed. You know what their reward would be for winning that game? Losing to the Suns. Talk about deja vu. Am I right? You'll get another one of these Nets shows in 2 weeks. A New York Islanders show will come your way next week. Regular episodes of the Jacob Valk Show usually come your way every weekday afternoon, but this week with bowl games starting early, you're gonna get some shows in the late morning. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at RealJacobVault so you know when shows are posted. Subscribe to this show wherever you consume it. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Until next time, I'm Jacob Valk, and always remember, if you disagree with me, you're wrong.